Today we're looking at different ways to represent data. And the data that we're going to start with in each of these next few examples actually starts with tally marks. And our goal is to use those tally marks to create a new data representation called a percent bar graph. The steps to do that are actually listed right over here. We're going to use the same steps with each example. And this first example is one for us to look at together. So we have some data here. Our data is about M&Ms and the number of M&Ms in a bag. Our instructions over here tell us to count the number for each category. So let's do that. Let's see. So for blue M&Ms, we have 9. We have 9 red M&Ms in the bag. There are 15 orange M&Ms, 12 yellow M&Ms, 6 green M&Ms, and 9 brown M&Ms. Great, so that's our first step. Next, let's add these up to figure out how many M&Ms there are total in the bag. So adding these up takes a little bit of thinking, and once I do it, I get that there are 60 M&Ms in total. Now that we know how many M&Ms are in the bag, we can use that information to figure out what percentage of the M&Ms are blue, what percentage are red, what percentage are orange, and so on. Here's how I like to figure out percentages. First, I'm going to take each number for the M&Ms and write them as a fraction out of 60, since there's a total of 60 M&Ms. And let me kind of simplify these a little bit. That'll make my work easier. For example, 9 over 60. Well, both 9 and 60 are divisible by 3. So I could rewrite that as 3 over 20. I see that fraction a couple more times in here, so I know those are also 3 over 20. For my orange M&Ms, I have 15 over 60. Both 15 and 60 are divisible by 15, giving me 1 out of 4. And I can use a similar technique to simplify my remaining fractions too. So let me just neaten that up a little bit. And then I'm just going to use each of these newly simplified fractions to write a proportion, saying that that fraction is equal to x over 100. That'll let me figure out the percent for each category, and it won't be hard. The reason this is not hard is because each of our fractions has a denominator that goes into 100 easily. 20 times 5 equals 100, and 3 times 5 equals 15. So x is 15. Of course, that's going to be my value for a couple of other ones as well that also had 9 M&Ms. Let's look at our orange M&Ms now. 4 times 25 is 100. 1 times 25 is 25. So x is 25. For our next category, 5 times 20 is 100. And 1 times 20 is 20. So x is 20. Finally, 10 times 10 is 100. And 1 times 10 is 10. So x is 10. So now we know the percentage for each category of M&M. There's 15% that are blue, 15% of the bag is red, 15% of the bag is brown, 25% of the bag is orange, 20% of the bag is yellow, and 10% of the bag is green. That's the big job that we had to do to make our percent bar graph. Finding each percent, that's the biggest step. And this is kind of a big problem because we have 6 categories. So we did a lot of work here. Good job for us. Now let's take this information and use it to make a percent bar graph. So I need to make my blue section 15%. I'm going to draw a line right here at 15, and I'm just going to use the colors of the M&Ms for my key. So blue is going to represent blue. So my blue bar is 15%. My red bar also needs to be 15%. Of course, 15 plus 15 is 30, so my next section should go all the way over to 30%. It'll start at 15% and it'll go to 30%. And you can see that my blue bar is the same length as my red bar. They both take up 15% of the graph. Next is orange. Now remember, I'm starting at 30%. Well, 25% of my M&Ms are orange, so I'm going to do 30 plus 25. That means I'll start at 30 and I'll end at 55% in order to make a bar that is 25, that represents 25%. So I want you to notice that the orange bar is bigger than the blue and the red bars, and that's important. The reason is because there are more orange M&Ms than there are blue or red M&Ms. They represent 25% of the bag, while the blue and red M&Ms each only represent 15% of the bag. Now let's do yellow. So my yellow bar is going to start at 55%, and it needs to represent 20% of the graph. Let's see, 55 plus 20 means I'm going to end at 75% with this section. It'll start at 55% and it'll end at 75%. Nice, so there's our yellow section. Next we need to do green, that would be 10%. We're starting at 75%, and 75 plus 10 means we're going to end at 85%. That's our tiniest section so far because we have the smallest number of green M&Ms. Last we have brown M&Ms, and that's 15% of the bag. We're starting at 85%, we're adding 15, which means we're going to make it over to 100, which is where every percent bar graph ends. Nice, and doesn't our percent bar graph look nice and organized? It's a great visual representation of the M&Ms in our bag. Now remember that your percent bar graph should always start at 0 and it should always go to 100 because a percent is a ratio out of 100. If it doesn't go to 100, it's not a percent bar graph. And let's review all of our steps. We started by counting the number of M&Ms in each category. We found the total number of M&Ms. Our big step was finding each percent, and finally, it was pretty easy after all that work to build our graph.